not in tune. Yeah. Is there any other harmonium? Anyway. Okay, let's try without the harmonium. It's kind of going on. Shuddha bhakata charana renu bhajanayana ku. Shuddha bhakata charana renu bhajanayana ku. Shuddha bhakata charana renu bhajanayana ku. Bhakata seva parama siddhi premolotikaro. You play. Give him the mic. Bhakata seva parama siddhi premolotikaro. Shuddha bhakata charana renu bhajanayana ku. Shuddha bhakata charana renu bhajanayana ku. Bhakata seva parama siddhi premolotikaro. Bhakata seva parama siddhi premolotikaro. ভকত চরণ রেণু ভজন শুদ্ধ ভকত চরণ রেণু ভজন হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. শুদ্ধ ভকত চরণ রেণু ভজন শুদ্ধ ভকত চরণ রেণু ভজনয় ভকত সেবা পরম সিদ্ধি প্রেমলতি কারণ ভকত সেবা পরম সিদ্ধি প্রেমলতি কারণ गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि नमः ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण। This evening I have been asked to speak on Srila Prabhupada, especially my memories of Srila Prabhupada. I met Srila Prabhupada actually I met Srila Prabhupada first in a dream. I was about to say I met Srila Prabhupada in 1977 January, but then it just occurred to me, actually I met Srila Prabhupada first in 1976 in around August. I don't exactly remember the day, but and it so happened I was searching for a spiritual life. I was in Europe, I was in Germany. And then I went back to India in search of a spiritual life. Spiritual life means I knew that to begin my spiritual life, I needed a guru. And so, in search of a guru, I went back to India. I landed in Delhi. I didn't go home in Calcutta. I went straight from Delhi first to Haridwar and then to Rishikesh. I met many sadhus in the Himalayas and I went further up. Met many interesting personalities, but could not find anyone to whom I could actually surrender myself completely. Because I knew that when I find a guru, I have to surrender myself to him. And I had the conviction that he would take me by my hand and lead me to the spiritual life. And those days, my understanding of spiritual life was actually impersonalistic. I did not really know about the Vaishnav culture, Vaishnav understanding, and Vaishnav approach. And then after about 1 year search, I gave up. I felt that if at all I have a guru, then let him come and pick me up. I had been searching for him and I couldn't find him. So if at all I have a guru, then let him and come and pick me up. And at around this time, I got a nectar of devotion. And when I started to read the nectar of devotion, from the first page, it occurred to me that this is what I was actually looking for. What actually struck me from the very first page, actually practically from the introduction of Srila Prabhupada, is that I became aware, I was thinking of liberation to be the goal of life. Because that is the impersonalistic understanding, liberation. And when I started to read Nectar of Devotion, I became aware that there are 5 kinds of liberations. And out of that, 4 are positive and 1 is negative. And I became painfully aware of the fact that the kind of liberation that I was aspiring for is the negative liberation that the demons get. So I naturally didn't want to identify myself as a demon. So, and then the thing that struck me was God is a person and Krishna is God. And that came to me with such a tremendous awareness, because I knew about Krishna. I used to study Bhagavad Gita. I knew that Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, but I did not have such clear understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are the two things that made tremendous impact in my mind. And I was so impressed with the Nectar of Devotion that I actually got the book in the evening. I went home and I started to read, and I was so fascinated by the Nectar of Devotion that I kept on reading till I fell asleep. And in the morning when I woke up, the first thing I did is pick up the book and start reading. And I just kept on reading. It was so wonderful. And like as if the spiritual life was unfolding in front of my eyes. And that night, the second night, I had a dream. I saw Srila Prabhupada, what apparently appeared to be like a throne. Because in India, the sadhus generally don't sit on elaborate seats. Many of them sit on deerskin and some such things. Or if they sit on a seat, asan, it is quite simple. But to me, it seemed like Prabhupada was sitting on a throne. And there was a brilliant light coming out of him. And just that sight made me feel that I found my spiritual master. And I offered my obeisances to him. I didn't ask him anything. And when I reflect on the dream, it just becomes very clear that actually it was not like an ordinary dream, like as if I was very conscious, I was completely awake, and I had that sight, and my heart became filled with an inconceivable feeling which gave me a tremendous delight in my heart, and I could realize that that is what joy actually means. And so when I felt that way, that I found my Guru and I'm going to surrender unto him and he is going to take me to Krishna. And my goal is to surrender to him, to Krishna. That became very clear, and I remember when I got that sort of developed that kind of conviction, I had a feeling that from now, I felt a tremendous peace in my heart, with an awareness that from now on, I won't have to worry about myself anymore. I'm surrendering myself to Krishna, and Krishna will take care of me. And I think for the first time in my life, I experienced what peace actually meant. The total freedom from any anxiety. Now no more anxiety. I don't have to worry about anything. I'm surrendering to Krishna, and Krishna will take care of me. And then I went to the Calcutta temple, and I inquired where Srila Prabhupada was, and I was told that Srila Prabhupada was in America, and he would come back in autumn. And so I thought, by reading Nectar of Devotion, I became aware of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his pastimes. Mainly I became aware of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. So I decided to travel to all those places where Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes, Krishna performed his pastimes. My main objective was actually to go to Vrindavan. And because in Nectar of Devotion it gives a very clear understanding what one should do, like visit the temples, have the darshan of the deities, and I was imagining myself doing all that thing in my mind. But the first place I went to was Mayapur, the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I knew that there was a ISKCON temple there, and I was already visiting Calcutta temple. Visiting means I went there for 3-4 times and had some encounter with the devotees there. And then I went to Mayapur, and those days Mayapur was quite small, and there were very few, quite a few devotees, and most of them were actually Americans and Europeans, because those days there were very few Indians in our movement. And whoever I met, everyone was requesting me to stay there and be with them. And I started to think that, I was very impressed, oh, these people are so nice, and the atmosphere was so serene. And I remember, I actually arrived in the evening. When I arrived, the Sandha Aratik was going on, evening Aratik was going on. And I saw devotees chanting and dancing. Such a wonderful sight. And then I was invited to come to a Bhagavad Gita class. And one Canadian devotee was giving the class. At that time he was a brahmachari. His name was Raghav Pandit Prabhu. And later on, now he is a sannyasi. His name is Bhakti Raghav Maharaj. And the class was so fascinating. It seemed like he was saying everything about me in the class, as if he was directing everything to me, and he was telling about how wonderful this life of Krishna consciousness is, being surrendered unto Krishna. And I don't distinctly remember the class so much, but the feeling I'm very much aware of, as if he was just telling me, why don't you accept this life? And the serenity of Mayapur and the wonderful atmosphere created by the devotees was very, very impressive. And anyway, then the next morning, again, whoever I spoke, he started to tell me about, asking me, why don't you join? They didn't say join, they said, why don't you spend some time with us? That was their invitation. And then I attended the Bhagavatam class. It was given by a sannyasi, and also American. And And I was so impressed. What impressed me so much was that awareness that these Americans know so much about Krishna consciousness, about Vedic culture, about Vaishnava, about the Vedas, and they were reciting verses. And it gave me the impression as if they knew the entire Srimad Bhagavatam by heart. And so I was very impressed with that class. And then after the class, that sannyasi came straight to me. I'm not mentioning his name because now he's not a sannyasi, that's why. So anyway, but I was very much indebted to him. So he came right after the class to me, and after some initial exchange he asked me, "Why don't you stay with us?" And you know how the devotees are, like those days, if anybody came to the temple, the tendency was to just shave him up. And so, and I just thought, I already made up my mind. And he actually, he told me that, why don't you give it a try and see how you like it or not. And I felt also that, I already made up my mind to join and surrender myself to Prabhupada. So, and since they're inviting, why don't I join? So I went and got a pair of dhoti and kurta and went to a barber, got my head shaved, went to Ganga, threw away my old clothes in the river and put on the new clothes. And although the devotees were inviting me, why don't you join, why don't you join? And when they saw me shaved up and wearing dhoti and kurta, they were shocked because they didn't expect such a transformation so soon. And when I got shaved, I was actually thinking, I'm shaving up, I'll give it a try for 2 months. And by that time my hair will grow. And if I want, I can go back. And anyway, those 2 months didn't end as yet. It's almost 40 years now. And anyway, that's how I actually joined. And then I got involved in various activities in Mayapur. Actually, those days, there were very few Indian devotees in ISKCON, and few that were there in Mayapur, they were not very well educated. So because I was an Indian, I was educated, and I started to get so many responsibilities. And anyway, then I got the news that Srila Prabhupada came to Bombay. So those days, Mayapur was managed by 2 co-directors, Jayapataka Maharaj and Bhavananda Maharaj. And Jayapataka Maharaj was he was out preaching and all, and Bhavananda Maharaj was the one who was managing. So I went to Bhavananda Maharaj and I told him that I want to go to, I got the news, I got to know that Srila Prabhupada came to Bombay, I want to see him. So he said, look, in Bombay nobody knows you. And Prabhupada's health is also not good. So you won't be able to have any access to Srila Prabhupada. You may go to Bombay, but you won't be able to meet him. So why don't you just stay in Mayapur? Prabhupada is going to come back here, and then you would meet him. So I accepted his point. And at that time, another sannyasi, at that time, who also is not a sannyasi anymore, his name was Guru Kripa Swami, and he had a group of devotees called Namhat, and they were preaching in Japan. And that was a very, very dynamic group. I think about 12 young Americans. I mean, like for example, when they would lead the kirtan and dance, it would sound like the whole universe is shaking. Like so vibrant. And at that time we got the news that Srila Prabhupada was going to Allahabad to Kumbh Mela. And that was January 77. So it was decided that this Namhat group and a few devotees from Mayapur would travel to Kumbh Mela by bus. So I was included in that team. So about 30 of us were traveling to Mayapur, to Allahabad from Mayapur. We drove to Kumbh Mela in Allahabad. And as soon as we arrived, I just went to the tent where I was supposed to be with the other devotees. So I kept my bags, and then I went out and asked the devotees where Srila Prabhupada was. So some devotees told me that there's a big tent, and it was walled by, the area was blocked with a corrugated tin sheets, like a wall of corrugated tin sheets. And there was an entrance to that, and at the entrance there was a Western devotee, big-bodied Western devotee, was guarding the gate. So when I went there, he told me that no, you can't go now. Come in the evening, Prabhupada will give darshan. So I realized that you can't just walk up to Srila Prabhupada like that, you know. And then I was just going back to my tent, and there I saw Bhavananda Prabhu. He was carrying a basket full of vegetables that he brought from Mayapur, and he was holding the basket like this, and he was walking quite fast, and he saw me. He said, "Come, I'm going to Srila Prabhupada." And so I just also followed him. And that big-bodied the gatekeeper made way for Bhavananda, and I also walked in. And then I saw from outside, like Prabhupada was sitting inside the tent behind a table. And so from outside I offered obeisances. And Bhavananda in the meantime just walked inside, and I was offering obeisances from outside. So then when I tried to go in, Prabhupada's secretary was Rameshwar Swami at that time. So he was sitting there, and he said, "No, don't go now. Prabhupada is taking prasad." And I started to curse myself. Why did I offer obeisances from outside? If I went along with Bhavananda, then nobody would have stopped me. And so I just left, becoming aware that it's very difficult to approach Srila Prabhupada, very difficult to go near Srila Prabhupada. It's understandable. I became aware that now, I was thinking that Prabhupada had so many thousands of disciples, and everybody must be dying to meet Srila Prabhupada. And who am I? Just a new bhakta, you know, so why? And so I gave up my intention to now try to meet Srila Prabhupada. So then I went out and took a bath and took prasad. And then after the prasad there was an announcement that those who want to go out on book distribution, they could come. And so another sannyasi, Sridhar Maharaj, was leading that book distributors group. Sridhar Maharaj also was Canadian, and he unfortunately, he left his body No, and so we went out to distribute books, and he became so engrossed in book distribution, I completely forgot that Prabhupada was giving darshan in the evening. And so because the book distribution was very exciting, because people are very pious, those who come to Kumbh Mela, and they all were eager to take books, like, practically the books were going out like anything, and so I was so engrossed in distributing books. And then when I came back, when I realized, Prabhupada is supposed to give darshan at 6:30, and so I ran, and then I found that Prabhupada's tent was full of people, and somehow I squeezed myself in, and that's the first time I saw Srila Prabhupada. And it was such a brilliant sight, like just the sight of Srila Prabhupada filled my heart with such joy that I couldn't hear what was going on. All I could hear was my heartbeat, and it was beating really hard, as if I could distinctly hear its sound, like bam, bam. And for quite some time I did not really realize what was happening where I was. And then when I became aware, then I started to see that people were asking Srila Prabhupada's questions, and Prabhupada was answering the questions. And one of the first things that I remember quite clearly, that one person was asking Srila Prabhupada, why are you building these temples? In a rather challenging way. Because at that time, the Vrindavan temple just opened. And it was a very impressive temple. So it was the talk of the town. And so this person was asking Prabhupada, why are you building temples when there are so many temples needing renovation and repair? Prabhupada didn't directly answer him. He asked, who is that lady sitting next to you? So that man replied, he's my wife. Prabhupada asked him, why did you get married? So that person was a little flustered. Then Prabhupada provided the answer. He said, Putrarte kriyate bharja. One gets married in order to have children. And so, and then Prabhupada asked, why have children of your own when there are so many children loitering in the streets? And then Prabhupada said, just as you want to have your own children, devotees want to make their own offering to Krishna in the form of temple. Another thing that I remembered at that time, another person he was a sadhu, dressed in sannyasi, quite young. And that person was in a kind of, from his dress I could recognize that he belonged to a group. They're more into social work, social welfare activities. Like when there is any kind of calamity like flood or things, then they go distribute food and blankets and support people. So this person then just started, asking question to Srila Prabhupada in Bengali. He was asking that why are you not doing beneficial work for people? And Prabhupada was answering him in Hindi. He was saying that yes, that beneficial activities are limited, but our purpose is not to give them some temporary benefit. Our business is to give them the permanent benefit. the deliverance of the soul. But that person did not really kind of respond properly or listen to Srila Prabhupada carefully. But Prabhupada was answering in Hindi. So Prabhupada then asked, this person asked, why are you answering in Hindi when I'm asking you the questions in Bengali? And Prabhupada became very angry. He said, Hindi or Bengali doesn't matter. The question is, do you understand what I am saying? And Prabhupada was so heavy. I was thinking that this person will never come near ISKCON anymore. They'll never come near us. But much later, one day I saw that person in Mayapur. He became a devotee. Only thing is that he came after Srila Prabhupada left the planet. Anyway, these are two things that I remember from that time very vividly. And so then, anyway, so I already accepted the fact that it's not easy to go near Srila Prabhupada. Let me just be where I am, happily distributing books and enjoying the atmosphere of Kumbh Mela. And Prabhupada used to give classes in the morning. I think we used to have the Guru Puja first, and then Prabhupada used to give the Bhagavatam class. And in the evening, Prabhupada used to give darshan. So these were the two times that I could actually meet Srila Prabhupada. And so one day, a vibrant kirtan was going on, very ecstatic. There were about 250 to 300 devotees in Kumbh Mela at that time. And it was a vibrant kirtan. And then all of a sudden, the leader, who was leading the kirtan, started to sing Bhaja Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada just stopped the kirtan. And from that ecstatic kirtan, there was a pin drop silence. Only you could hear is Prabhupada's loud voice. He was saying, where did you learn this Bhaja Hare Krishna? And he just kept on asking him. And of course the devotee was silent, didn't say anything. And then Prabhupada said, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra should be chanted just as it is. No addition, no subtraction. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Prabhupada, and that's... And then one morning, I got to know that Prabhupada was leaving Kumbh Mela. Because the Kumbh Mela area was very loud. There was a lot of noise, blaring loudspeakers and so much noise. And plus the atmosphere was quite cold also at that time. So Prabhupada was feeling uncomfortable. So Prabhupada, this one morning just we got to know that Prabhupada decided to leave Kumbh Mela. I just accepted, okay, Prabhupada is leaving. Then after a while, Bhavananda came to me. And he said, Prabhupada is leaving today. And I said, yes, I heard. And then he told me that a carriage is going to be hooked onto one Calcutta-bound train, and a group of devotees will be traveling with Srila Prabhupada in that train, and you have been included in that group. I just jumped with joy, like I'll be traveling with Srila Prabhupada in the same train, in the same carriage. And I could see that he actually created that good fortune for me. Like he knew how eager I was to meet Srila Prabhupada, and he decided to give that opportunity. So the train started at night, And soon after the train started, we all took rest. And then in the morning, after taking my bath, I was chanting. So it must have been around 6:30, 7 o'clock. And then Bhavananda came to my compartment and he said, "Come, I'll take you to Prabhupada." Now, all these days I was dying to meet Srila Prabhupada. But when this opportunity came to meet Srila Prabhupada, I don't know what happened. I felt that, no, I can't go near Srila Prabhupada. Some strange feeling. I don't quite remember, what was that. Maybe one awareness was that I'm so sinful. Prabhupada will see all the sins that I have committed. And I'm not able to go near Srila Prabhupada. And Bhavananda probably could understand my feelings, so he grabbed me by my hand and dragged me through the corridor and came in front of Srila Prabhupada's compartment, opened the door and pushed me in. And I fell flat on the ground, offering obeisances. And when I got up, I saw Prabhupada was looking at me. And then Prabhupada motioned, asking me to sit next to him. As you know, in first-class compartments, there are two seats facing each other. On the other seat, there was Jayapataka Maharaj, Bhavananda Maharaj, Rameshwar Maharaj. Abhiram Prabhu, who was the temple president of Calcutta at that time, he was sitting on the floor, and Prabhupada was sitting on the other one. And so Prabhupada asked me to sit. So I said, "Prabhupada, I would rather sit on the floor." Prabhupada insisted, "No, you sit there." So one blanket was spread over the seat, so I rolled the edge of the blanket and sat there. And after some initial exchanges, Prabhupada just told me, "You translate my books into Bengali." So I was naturally delighted, but still I told Prabhupada, "Prabhupada, I never really translated. And will I, it's such a, important task." The Prabhupada said, "Don't worry." He used a Bengali expression, which literally meant, practice makes a man perfect. So he said, just keep on trying. And anyway, that was the beginning of my good fortune. Like that service gave me access to Srila Prabhupada anytime. Like, I might have the excuse that I have to show the translation to Srila Prabhupada. And like I used to translate, then show it to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada would correct me and advise me. So then Prabhupada came to Calcutta, and Calcutta was like my stomping ground. So that temple I was very well acquainted with. I knew everybody, and so I had my access, and everybody knew that Prabhupada in our first meeting gave me the service to translate his books into Bengali. And so then one evening Prabhupada was giving darshan to the guests. Many people came, important people came to have Prabhupada's darshan. And Prabhupada just was speaking to them. And then the aratik started, evening arati. So Prabhupada told them to go to the aratik, attend the aratik. And so I also left. But I was standing in the aratik when I thought that aratik I can attend every day. But to be with Prabhupada is a rare opportunity. So let me just go and be with Srila Prabhupada. So I went, and as I opened the door, Prabhupada looked up, and Prabhupada asked me, "So, what do you want?" So I said, "Prabhupada, I just wanted to be with you." So Prabhupada said, "Come, sit down." So I sat down. And at that time, the first sight was a little shocking actually, because when I opened the door and I saw Prabhupada was counting money. And in India, you get a feeling, kind of understanding the sadhus don't touch money and things, And to see Srila Prabhupada counting money gave me a little shock, and thinking, but then I thought that whatever Prabhupada does is perfect. I should not have any question about Prabhupada's actions. And Prabhupada, I sat down, Prabhupada was come. You see what actually happened? The people came and they gave donations, so Prabhupada was just arranging that, and so he kept, Prabhupada was very meticulous. So he counted the thing and opened the drawer, he kept the money. And so he asked, "So, what do you want?" So I blurted out, "Srila Prabhupada, will you please give me initiation?" Because I heard that many devotees had been waiting for initiation for a long time and they didn't get initiation. And I was thinking that if it happened to me also, and but I was so relieved to hear Prabhupada said, "Yes, I'll give you initiation. At the time of Gaur Purnima festival, I'll give you initiation." And so that is how my initial approach to Srila Prabhupada was. And then soon after that, from Calcutta, Srila Prabhupada went to Bhubaneswar. Now I could have gone with Srila Prabhupada, but I decided to stay back in Calcutta because I was printing a book. I collected Prabhupada's writings in Bengali from 48, 49, around that time. And I collected, I used to visit some Gaudiya Math libraries to read books, and there I came across a magazine, a collection of magazine called Gaudiya Patrika, and in that magazine Prabhupada's articles were there. So I collected those articles and I was printing a book. And I thought that I would rather complete the book, print the book, and then offer it to Srila Prabhupada. And so that's why I stayed back. And so Prabhupada then came back from Bhubaneswar. He stayed there, I think, for 2 weeks, 14 or 15 days. Then he came back to Calcutta, Mayapur. And at that time I was there, and Prabhupada just arrived, and there was a devotees standing by the roadside to greet Srila Prabhupada. I remember the ladies started to throw flower petals from the balcony when Srila Prabhupada walked. Prabhupada looked up and then Prabhupada came to a temple, had the darshan of Radha Madhav, went around the temple room, parikrama, and Prabhupada would give darshan every evening. So those days I was more involved in trying to complete the book. So one day I went to Calcutta to see whether the book has been completed. And when I came back the next morning, the devotees told me that the evening before, when Prabhupada was giving darshan, Prabhupada asked about me, where I was. And I felt so delighted that Prabhupada at least noticed my absence. And so I ran to Prabhupada's room, and then Prabhupada asked, where were you? And so I asked Srila Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, did you wanted to see me? And Prabhupada said, where did you go? I said, Prabhupada, I went to Calcutta. And then he asked why. I said that I was printing the book. And so he asked, where is the book then? So I said, Prabhupada, it's not ready as yet. Then Prabhupada said, that's the problem with India. It's nothing gets done here. And then I remembered one thing, that I needed to confess to Srila Prabhupada. So I told Srila Prabhupada, it is said that unless, and I quoted a Bengali verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, that one who cannot control his tongue, he cannot get Krishna. And I said, Prabhupada, what will happen? I can't control my tongue. Prabhupada said, take Krishna Prasad. So then I said, Prabhupada, when I go to Calcutta, sometimes I go to sweet shops. And Prabhupada said, that's also Krishna Prasad. So that's also Krishna Prasad. So it is with that consciousness that you have to take it, that everything that is Krishna's mercy, Krishna's Prasad. Anyway, I'm just telling you that, but also I want to mention that I went and told that to one senior devotee that Prabhupada said that. So he told me that, yes, Prabhupada said it, but don't take undue advantage of that instruction. So, and then every day practically I used to go and read out the translations that I did in Bengali. Then one day Prabhupada gave me a stack of Bengali letters and told me to reply those letters. And Prabhupada asked me to read one letter, and then Prabhupada gave me the points, how to reply. And this is how I would read out the letter to Prabhupada, and then he would give me the points, and then I would reply. And then bring them to Srila Prabhupada, read out what I wrote, and then Prabhupada would make some correction, and then finally I would handwrite them on Prabhupada's letterhead. And then Prabhupada would sign. So when I finished the replying Bengali letters, Prabhupada gave me a stack of Hindi letters. And he wanted me to reply them. Prabhupada actually asked at that time, can you write Hindi? I said, yes, Prabhupada, I can write in Hindi, but my handwriting is not so nice. Prabhupada said, don't worry about that. Nobody's Hindi handwriting is nice. Then he told me a joke. He said, once someone received a letter from his friend in Hindi. So he wrote back to him that next time you write to me, please give me the train fare to go to you. So his friend wrote back, why do you want the train fare when I write to you? And he wrote back saying that because to make out what you wrote, I have to go back to you. So anyway, so then Prabhupada gave me these Hindi letters, and so I just started to reply the Hindi letters and the Bengali letters that would come. Then one day Prabhupada called me and he told me that he was making me his secretary for Indian affairs. And at that time, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was Prabhupada's secretary. So he called Tamal Krishna Maharaj and told him about this new appointment. And he told Tamal Krishna Maharaj that I should move into the room where he was staying, which was Prabhupada's secretary's room. Originally in Mayapur, the next room to Srila Prabhupada's was his secretary's room. But the secretary would type, and those days the typewriters were manual typewriters, and that used to make a lot of noise. Cut, 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 cut. So Prabhupada used to find it very disturbing. So he moved his secretary's room to the next room, and that room where his servant was staying. Prabhupada's personal servant those days was Hari Sauri Prabhu. So that gave me another opportunity, very wonderful opportunity, to be with a wonderful and a very exalted devotee, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He was very, very affectionate to me. So when Prabhupada told that, so he kind of took me to that room, and that room had 2 beds. So he was occupying one, and there was the other bed, and he told me that I could take that. And so that gave me this wonderful opportunity and of sharing the room with Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He was extremely organized and extremely disciplined. Like I remember every day he would wake up at 3 o'clock. And at first he would not wake me up. He wouldn't even switch on the light. He was so considerate because he didn't want to wake me up. And he would go to the bathroom and he would play a tape recorder, playing Prabhupada's lectures. That was his regular routine. He would take the tape recorder and listen to Prabhupada's tape, and I used to wake up listening to Prabhupada's tapes most of the days. And then after he would finish, then he would wake me up, and by the time I was already up. And and then he started to train me up how to serve Srila Prabhupada. And one thing he told me that somebody should always be with Srila Prabhupada. And so, like I was thinking that the first time I realized how difficult it is to approach Srila Prabhupada, and today I got the opportunity to be with Srila Prabhupada practically 24 hours a day. And anyway, so this is how, and in the meantime, I got initiation. Prabhupada gave me first and second initiation together. Like, I knew I was getting first initiation, but one morning, Brahmananda Maharaj was Prabhupada's secretary at that time. So he came and he told me that Prabhupada decided to give me second initiation also. And he told me, boy, you are fortunate. And so that's how got the initiation. Then soon after Mayapur festival, Prabhupada was going to Bombay to attend a festival that Giriraj Maharaj organized in Cross Maidan in Bombay. So I was ready to go, thinking that I would be going. But then Bhavananda Prabhu, those days he was a Maharaj, Bhavananda Maharaj, he told me, he asked me whether I was going to go. And I said yes, but he said, look, you have so much service here. So, actually serving the spiritual master from a distance is better than serving him personally. And although I was heartbroken completely, but still I could not say anything to him because he had done so much for me. So I just accepted that. It was the day before or 2 days before Prabhupada was leaving, I think the day before. Prabhupada just asked me, so are you coming with me? And I just blurted out as if I was just waiting for this opportunity. So I said, no, Prabhupada. Bhavananda Maharaj said that service in separation is greater than service. Then Prabhupada said, yes, but I think when your spiritual master wants you to serve him personally, you should do that. So I just ran to Bhavananda Prabhu and I told him what Prabhupada told. And he said, well, if Prabhupada wants, then naturally you have to go. And I jokingly told him, and Prabhupada told that you have to pay for my fare also. So that gave me the opportunity to travel with Prabhupada to Bombay. So Prabhupada then went to Bombay, and yeah, that's also another very interesting aspect. When Prabhupada, you see those days that those 2 towers in front of Bombay Temple were being built, which is the guest house, and on top of that tower on the right hand side was meant for Prabhupada's quarters. So the car drove Prabhupada to his old quarters. And so Prabhupada asked, why did you bring me here? So Prabhupada was told that the other apartment, his other quarters was not ready as yet. Prabhupada said, ready or not, I'm just going there. And I'm going to stay there. So the car then went back. Fortunately, the lift was working. So it was not complete, but still the lift was working. So Prabhupada went to his apartment. And the apartment, Prabhupada's quarters at that time, was practically a construction site. Things were not complete. But Prabhupada went and sat down there. And his thing was that he was going to stay there. So Surabhi Swami was the person who was taking care of the construction. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nilamadhava ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So, and Prabhupada and Surabhi Swami tried to explain to Srila Prabhupada that the doors are not fixed. And he started to explain that, that quarters was not in a livable condition. But Prabhupada said, no, I'm staying here. Then Tamal Krishna Maharaj had a discussion with Giriraj Maharaj. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj came up with a bright idea. He said, next few days Prabhupada will be giving the program in Cross Maidan. And Cross Maidan is in the heart of Bombay. And Juhu is quite far, like 1 hour to 1.5 hours drive. And so it would be better to propose to Srila Prabhupada that during that program, Prabhupada stayed in Bombay so that he won't have to drive back and forth. And then they called up one person, very wealthy person, where Prabhupada stayed earlier. His name was Bhogilal Patel. But unfortunately, Bhogilal at that time was not in Bombay. So then they called up Kartikeya Mahadevia, another very wealthy person who had a beautiful apartment right on the beach in one of the most exclusive buildings in Bombay there at that time. So when they called up Kartikeya Mahadevia, Mahadevia was immediately, yes, sure, please bring Srila Prabhupada. And he was so nice that he vacated the entire apartment for Srila Prabhupada and moved away with his family. Like Srinath Prabhu did for my sake. Srinath Gopal Prabhu. And I felt so guilty last time it was okay because he was not with the family, the whole family was away from Seattle in India. But this time he had to move out with the whole family. Thank you so much. And so Kartikeya Mahadevia vacated the apartment. Very spacious, I think five-bedroom apartment with large balcony facing the sea. And they moved out to another apartment in the same building where I think his brother was living. And during the day, from practically the whole day, Kartikeya Mahadevia would stay there with his wife, and she would cook for Srila Prabhupada. And I was speaking to Harivilas Prabhu yesterday about Kartikeya Mahadevia. Like those days in 1977, he was a big promoter of wheatgrass juice. Oh no, I'm sorry, I was speaking to Shesha Prabhu actually, that he was promoting wheatgrass juice. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj used to make fun of him, calling him something like wheatgrass freak. So we stayed there for a few days during the program, and that program was very, very wonderful. Thousands of people used to come every evening. One remarkable thing happened at that time was, one day Prabhupada noticed an Arab, dressed typically in his Arabic attire, standing in the crowd. So Prabhupada sent Bhavananda to call him. And he brought him onto the stage and introduced him to Srila Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada made him sit on the stage where the VIPs' chair sofas were there. And that man turned out to be the head of the police of Kuwait. He came to Bombay for treatment, and that was the first evening when he was allowed to go out of the hospital. So he came out of the hospital and he saw a big gathering, and out of curiosity he just came and stood there, and here Prabhupada calls him right onto the stage. And Prabhupada had some very sweet exchanges with him. Like, Prabhupada saw that he had a set of beads in his hand. So Prabhupada asked him, "What do you do with that?" And he said, "Well, I just fiddle around." Prabhupada said, "No, this is actually meant for chanting the holy name of the Lord." And he pulled out his bead and said, "See, I also have one." And then he said, "It's sacred, therefore it should be kept in a bag so that it doesn't become contaminated." And Prabhupada asked that person to speak also, but he preferred not to speak. And it was such a wonderful sight, like Here is one of the most prominent spiritual leaders, and next to him, like is one Arab, obviously Muslim gentleman. So after that, Srila Prabhupada went back to Bombay. By the time the Prabhupada's quarters was ready. And Prabhupada stayed in Bombay for a few days, for a few weeks actually. And one day, two very important persons came to meet Srila Prabhupada. One of them was Sriman Narayan, who was the ex-governor of Madras, and his brother-in-law, Ramakrishna Bajaj, who was the head of the Bajaj industry. And so they saw, Prabhupada used to have a nice relationship with them. So when they saw that Prabhupada's health condition was not so good, so they suggested that Prabhupada went to some place for they used the expression change. Prabhupada went to some place for a change. And they suggested Rishikesh on the bank of the Ganges. And Prabhupada became very receptive to that idea. He said, yes, I never been to Rishikesh. And Ganga water will be very healing. And so we went from Bombay to Rishikesh. And they actually arranged a beautiful building, which was the best, most remarkable building in Rishikesh at that time, called Ganga Darshan. It was a 2-story building right on the river Ganges, like practically from the house you can walk into the Ganges. And that was the best building in Rishikesh at that time. So they arranged it for Srila Prabhupada and his entourage. So we traveled to Bombay, from Bombay to Delhi by plane. Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Upendra Prabhu and myself. So we went to Rishikesh. Already few devotees were there. Trivikram Swami, Biraha Prakash Swami and Pramana Swami, and a few other devotees were already there to make the arrangements for Srila Prabhupada. And so Srila Prabhupada stayed in Rishikesh for some days. It was a small group, we are there, and every day Srila Prabhupada used to translate. Those days Prabhupada's main concern was to actually translate Srimad Bhagavatam. He was translating the 10th canto at that time. And in the evening he used to give darshan. Rishikesh is a very holy place, so many people, many pilgrims and pious people come there. So every evening so many people used to come and Prabhupada used to preach to them. But sometimes it used to go on till quite late. And Prabhupada's health condition not being so good, it caused some concern. And I remember Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Trivikram Maharaj were discussing that we cannot let Prabhupada have such long sessions with these visitors. So they decided that Prabhupada would give darshan from 5 to 6 o'clock, and then we would ask everyone to leave. And if someone is interested, then they could actually preach to them. And so that is how the days were going. I was okay. That gives me another thing. When Prabhupada was in Bombay, one of our god sisters, Mother Palika, used to cook for Srila Prabhupada. And I used to serve Prabhupada. I used to make the plate. She used to make the plate, and I used to carry the plate to Srila Prabhupada. And after Srila Prabhupada took prasad, I used to wash those plates, and Palika also used to take care of that. So one day Palika was sick. So another god sister of ours were asked to cook for Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada told her what to cook, how to cook. But then when I served, I could see that Prabhupada was not eating. He just took a bite and he couldn't eat it. So I could see that Prabhupada was not able to eat. So I asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, the cooking was not all right today. Prabhupada said, yes, she doesn't know how to cook. So I just blurted out, Srila Prabhupada, should I cook for you tomorrow? Then Prabhupada said, yes, you can try. So the next morning, Prabhupada called me and told me how to cook. One preparation he specifically told me how to cook. He asked me to cut parval and potatoes in about 3/4 inch pieces. The parval was skinned, like not skinned, like with the back. Prabhupada showed how with the back of a knife to rub the outer coating. The skin is there, only the outer coating is taken out, and then they cut into 3/4 inch dices. And then Prabhupada asked me to get turmeric and the mustard oil. We are carrying the mustard oil not for cooking, but for Prabhupada's body massage. So he asked me to get that mustard oil that we are carrying from Calcutta. And so he asked me to put a lot of turmeric, and red chili, whole red chili broken into about this big pieces, about 3/4 inch pieces, and a lot of chili. And then he asked me to pour the mustard oil. So Prabhupada was having a massage at that time. So I started to pour, and I felt that I poured quite a lot. So I stopped. I tilted back, thinking that Prabhupada probably is not noticing how much I put. So I tilted back that can and stopped pouring. Prabhupada asked, why did you stop pouring? Keep pouring. So I just kept pouring a lot of mustard oil. And then Prabhupada asked me to stop at some point. And then he told me to cover the vegetables up to the just to cover it, to cover the vegetables with water. Pour water just to cover. And then put it on fire, put it on the flame, and let it cook. And so don't stir it, just let it cook. And all the water will evaporate, and then the white steam will start coming out. And then there will be a sound coming, chut chut, chut chut. So then you take it off the fire, let it cook, let it cool down for a while, and then when it's cooled down to some extent, then you scrape the thing from the bottom and serve it. Just before serving, you scrape it. Anyway, so I did it, and it seemed Prabhupada liked it. So when I was washing the plates and things, Upendra came running. Upendra was Prabhupada's servant at that time, personal servant. He, after Prabhupada took prasad, he used to take Srila Prabhupada to the bed, and Prabhupada would lie down for a while. And he came running down and he said, hey, what did you cook? Prabhupada asked me to taste it. So just gave it to him. And then at 3 o'clock, Tamal Krishna Maharaj used to go to Prabhupada with the letters, and Prabhupada used to give the point dictations. And so after that he came and he told me, Prabhupada liked your cooking very much today. And anyway, so I don't know what happened to me. The next day when I cooked, Prabhupada took a bite and he told me, you don't have any standard. That one day you cook nicely and I praise you, and next day you're gone. So I was really devastated. So next day I cooked, and this time I was very, very careful, and this time when I served, I saw that Prabhupada was eating, so I got some courage, and I asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, is the cooking all right today? Prabhupada said, yes, today it's all right. And then I said, Prabhupada, today while I was cooking, I was so afraid and I was in such anxiety. Prabhupada said, that's good. When you are serving your spiritual master, you should be afraid and you should be in anxiety. So that gave me the service to cook for Srila Prabhupada. And when we went to Rishikesh, I was cooking breakfast and lunch, and not only for Prabhupada, for the whole team. Whatever I was cooking, I had to cook for everybody. And then I was to serve Srila Prabhupada. In the meantime, all the devotees at noontime, they used to go to Ganga and swim. Those days, logs used to be floated down from the high up in the mountains through the river. That was the way to transport the logs. And we used to get hold of the log and float in the river downstream. But I was always late, everybody, because I had to cook and I had to serve. And then I used to go there. By the time they practically finished their water sports. But still, it was a wonderful time together. And I remember one day, one afternoon, actually in the mornings I used to be so busy, I couldn't really chant my rounds, so I used to chant my rounds in the afternoon. And so one day Tamal Krishna Maharaj and I went out he's actually suggested, come, let's go for a walk. So we walked all the way up to Laxman Jhula, the bridge across the Ganges, went down the bridge, and then went up the mountains. And then we sat on a boulder next to the river. And the Ganges is very strong there. And so you're sitting on that. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was telling me that you are so fortunate that you are born in India. It's such a special birth. So I said, yes, I may have been born in India, but I grew up with the understanding that West is the best. And he started to tell me that, no, that you may, but you, just by birth and other things, you all are very fortunate, very elevated. And spiritual life is so natural for you all. So in this way, when he was, and I tried to tell him things like that, I heard from Srila Prabhupada that you all are so special. And I related one incident, like one of our god brothers one day was lamenting to Srila Prabhupada that he was so fallen, so degraded. And Prabhupada said, that was all superficial. Because as soon as I called, you came. And quoting that, I told him that shows that you all are not ordinary souls. You all just came to assist Srila Prabhupada in this mission. So in this way, we had a very wonderful discussion with Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He was such a wonderful devotee. And he was so dear to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada also was so dear to him. At that time, just to serve Srila Prabhupada, he relinquished all his other responsibilities. He was one of the most exalted leaders of ISKCON at that time. But he gave up all his zonal responsibilities, everything, just to serve Srila Prabhupada. And he was serving so nicely and always so concerned about Srila Prabhupada's comfort and Prabhupada's welfare, physical welfare. And Prabhupada also, most of the time, many mornings, Prabhupada would, just as he would wake up, he would ask, "Where is Tamal?" And I would just run and tell him that Prabhupada is looking for you. And no matter whatever he was doing, he would drop everything and just come running to Srila Prabhupada. And they would have such intimate discussions. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was so intelligent. He used to ask such penetrating questions to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada also used to confide in him in such an intimate way about his concern about this movement, how to carry on in future. Like, he was really trained up by Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So I'll stop now. Thank you all very much. So probably we can just end with a little kirtan today. That harmonium is, I don't know, I'll just take a kartal and Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nittai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.